Hey, I'm back. This is Chandler for Melda Production, and today I'm going to be going over one of my favorite things, and that is the tone of Allan Holdsworth. Today, particularly, I'm going to be going over the clean tones of Allan Holdsworth and how to make them in MGuitararcitect. So let's get started. I want to show you how you can make a variety of tones, and that way, if you don't like the specific one I made, I'll show you some little tweaks you can do to make different ones. So to get started, if you haven't already done this, click the analyze input level and try to match the input level of your guitar so you're getting the hottest signal possible. So just make sure you have your input on, analyze input, and just play maybe very hard on your guitar. Okay, so my input is at 1, and this will depend on which guitar you're using or even which pickup you're using. From here, let's insert a looper. You might be thinking, like, why am I doing this? And I actually talked about this in the last video or one of my previous videos. And the thing is, for this, when I'm making a tone, I don't want to have to keep going back and forth from my guitar to the mouse to tweak things. So if we record something now that's Holdsworth-ish, we can just loop it and we can tweak our knobs in peace without having to switch back and play guitar at the same time. So let's just play something Holdsworth-ish and loop it. Okay, let's play it back to make sure it's recorded. Okay, doesn't sound very good so far, but that's okay. What we're going to do from here is, of course, add our amp and our cabinet. So add an amp, add a cabinet, and now we're going to choose which ones. Now I have some that are specially made just for this. So one is, they're both called Bradford Chap. So you go in here. Since we're going to do a clean sound, let's move it over to clean 1 here. And do the same thing in here. Highlight, there's more amps, so I'm going to click guitar amp, medium, and then look here, Bradford Chap, we got it. Make sure this is on the clean channel for this. And we're going to go here, and what I want to do now is play the looper, and first go through the cabinet, and we're going to mess with the characters until we find the character we like. So let's go. So these are a little bit subtle when you're coming with clean tones. So I'm using scooped here, that's the one that sounded best, and I'm using the C character here. Now let's go on to the amp and adjust this. So this has a 4 knob EQ section here. And this is really cool, not just for Holdsworth sounds, but if you're looking for a nice clean sound, you can use this for anything. Bradford Chap's cool for any clean type of sound you want. So we have it set on clean. The gain, it won't start to get too distorted until we get into the later half, so I might turn this up just a little bit, and then we're going to adjust all of these knobs here. So let's get into it. So for this, I want a bright sound. I want it to be a little bit scooped. So I turned down the high mids. The low mids actually sounded pretty good to me. I turned down the bass a little bit. You can adjust the tightness here. If you want it even more scooped, you can adjust the Z control. Let me play that so you can hear what it does. So the Z control, if you turn it all the way up, it'll give you some subtle scooping too. So that's what you can do with this. But so far, I think this is pretty good and close to what I want. But you're still not really getting any of that like Holdsworth magic yet. So let's add that in. And I think that comes from the multi-tap delay. Now there is a delay in here, like this, but we're not going to use this delay. What we're going to use is the ER. So this actually has a multi-tap delay in it, although maybe you can't see it that well. These are all early reflections, and the Fusion ones are multi-tap delays. So what I'm going to do is just turn this all the way up, and we're going to use the last 4 and decide which one sounds the best. So let's play it. Okay, so I think 4 sounds the best. Let's move this wet dry back to about 50%. And the other thing that really makes this have that like ethereal sound is this modulation. So let's turn this up. This is the modulation amount. If you want to adjust the rate, you can adjust the mod rate here. So let's adjust this while we're playing it so we can get more of that ethereal sound. So you can adjust that however you want. There's some tones, where it's really cranked up. Sometimes it's a little bit subtle. So let's put it right here, a little bit over the midpoint. This is almost done, but we don't really have much of a tail. Depending on what we're trying to do, we want a longer or shorter tail. So for some things, this could be fine, but I think in general, I want a little bit of reverb on there. So we're going to go in here, and we're going to adjust this. I like to use a plate here, but you could use any of them that you wanted to. If you wanted the shorter sound, you might use the room. If you want a longer sound, maybe use Hall or Ethereal. I think a plate's a nice medium though. So let's turn the ducking down and let's play it. Sounding pretty good. Now, there's one last thing that we want for that Holdsworth sound, and that is the fade-ins. So I think 2 weeks ago or so, I showed you this, which is the wah and volume. So we're going to add that here. Make sure that's before your amp. I want to change it from the wah to the volume setting. This is perfect, but you're probably thinking like, okay, how do I control this? If you have a expression pedal, you can hook that up with MIDI like this. So let's get rid of that for a second. We're going to add another track inside your DAW, and we need to route this so it sends the MIDI from this secondary track. Let's call this MIDI control. And it needs to go into MGuitararcitect. So first, make sure we have MIDI going in. Whatever your MIDI controller is named, make sure that's on. Make sure you have this recording, and make sure I have the other track on. Now I'm going to route it from this MIDI control track into MGuitararcitect. This will depend on your DAW. In Reaper, you can just drag and drop here. To make sure it's working, just hit a button or press the pedal on your MIDI controller. You should see some kind of like movement there to let you know that it's actually working. Now that we have that there, let's start controlling this with our pedal. There's a few ways we can do this. As I showed you before, you can use the multi-parameters, but an easier way is just to click MIDI here, click Enable, and we're going to click Learn and move this big red knob here. Okay, so now that's controlling this knob in the middle of our wah and volume. And now we're going to click Learn again, and I'm going to move my MIDI controller. So as you saw, it changed to this user 27 control 6, and that's my expression pedal. Now it's not working yet, and that's because this is grayed out. So we're just going to click here and check it so it's on. There we go, and now let's press our expression pedal, and it moves. So let's try it out now. Now to me, that's sounding pretty good. Some things I might want to change. I think, you know what? That's maybe a little bit too much modulation. I'm going to turn the rate down. And I'm going to turn the modulation rate down to make it sound like more what I want. Now, this sounds good to me, and I would leave it there. Now, depending on what you want, you might think, you know what, it's still too much modulation. You can turn yours down or up for a more ethereal sound or just a more plain sound as you like. You can also adjust the rate. Another thing you can do is if you don't like this reverb, you can change it to something else or just take it off altogether. You might find that clean 2 sounds better than clean 1 if you want. And of course, mess with all of the different EQ settings here. But this is the basic tone. I think this is maybe the easiest way to get it inside MGuitararcitect. But next time I'll show you how to do the lead tone, and I'm going to show you eventually how you can actually put both of them together, which is really cool, I think. So if you like this, give me a thumbs up, leave me any questions or comments down below, and check out all the other plugins at meldaproduction.com. Till next time, see you.